To satisfy my insurance company this year, I was required to obtain a condition and value survey for Silverheels, my Pearson 424 Ketch. This is required for boats of a certain age. To my chagrin, the surveyor found an issue with the skeg near where the rudder is mounted. But before I share the nature of the issue and what might be necessary to fix it, I thought it would be useful to summarize what a skeg is and highlight its benefits. A skeg is a fiberglass fin just aft of the propeller and forward of the rudder. A primary purpose of the skeg is to provide structural support and protection. A skeg is designed to absorb an impact from an unanticipated grounding when in forward motion and is meant to prevent rudder damage in this scenario. Skegs also serve as mounting points for the rudder. By housing a stronger rudder stock and bearing assembly, the skeg can serve to deflect debris from the propeller, but most important and appreciated by sailors is the stability it provides in heavier seas. A skeg provides greater directional stability for a sailboat, acting as a vertical stabilizer and can help prevent the sailboat from broaching when surfing down large waves. There is a compromise as compared to a spade rudder. More surface area of the rudder is required to turn a boat when you have a skeg. A sailboat with a skeg is slightly less maneuverable in tight quarters than would be a sailboat without a skeg. Some examples of cruising boats with skegs include Pacific Seacraft, Amel, Oyster, Valiant, Rustler, Gozzard, Kraken, Hallberg Rossi, and of course, Pearson. The skeg is generally part of a keel type called a Modified Fin Keel, which is generally a compromise between a classic stalwart full keel sailboat and the most popular and easily found fin keel sailboat. A modified fin keel sailboat generally elongates the fin keel and will often add a skeg behind the prop. A longer keel with an added skeg adds directional stability to the cruising sailboat, but takes away some maneuverability. Most sailors learn to sail on a fin keel, which offers much greater maneuverability. Fin keel sailboats generally move in the direction you steer without a fuss and can turn tighter corners. A longer keel will sacrifice some maneuverability, but a longer keel will make it harder for the boat to heel, add more directional stability, and offer a higher level of comfort as conditions become more challenging. So what did the surveyor say about my skeg? He took a moisture meter around the hull and discovered that the bottom of the skeg contained a higher water content than would be expected. The fiberglass hull is meant to be waterproof and not absorb water. Once the meter showed the higher moisture reading, it was fairly apparent to pay attention to the light cracking that was occurring along a horizontal access plane of the skeg, just above where the rudder bearing would be. I'm a bit ashamed to have not noticed that this seemingly benign surface crack was a sign of a problem forming, and this was actually a sign of delamination. I suppose that when you look at your sailboat once a week with loving eyes, these sorts of blemishes, or what might seem like blemishes, can be lost in the picture. And this is why a second set of professional eyes can be very valuable. So that survey turned out to be a really good thing. It identified a potential problem. My limited understanding is that in the worst case, the event of a failure would be where the bottom part of the skeg would shear off and the rudder bearing would be lost. In this event, the rudder would still be attached from the top and will not fall away despite missing the bottom support of the skeg. However, the rudder would no longer be functional in that case. It wouldn't really be controllable by the chain and cable fed steering quadrant in that state because of the gravity that's put on the rudder. The rudder would no longer have the support from the bottom bearing required to pivot. I'm speculating here, so if anybody out there has experience with this, please share your thoughts or experience in the comments below. In such a scenario, I would be looking at the cost to to replace the whole bottom part of the skeg, including the bearing for the rudder, as well as dealing with what would potentially be a bad day. And mind you that this will probably not occur on a very nice day. It's more likely that the stress of challenging conditions, a heavier sea state, that's the type of condition that we might encounter something like this. And those conditions can put safety on the line. A possible outcome here is that I will have to get this addressed prior to splashing the sailboat this season. This would likely mean not getting the sailboat out of the boatyard until June, which is late for me and wouldn't be great. I normally get the boat in the water by mid-May or so. I was planning a significant cruising trip at the end of June, and this issue has potential to impact that schedule, either due to a delayed splash or a higher risk of failure. Though I suppose there are much worse problems in life, and the journey is really meant to be enjoyed, so I'm going to take this in stride as much as possible. So I've since received some welcome news from the fiberglass expert at the boatyard. He has determined that this is an issue that should be monitored, but does not require immediate attention, nor is putting the structural integrity of the skeg or rudder in an imminent risk. So that's really good news. He indicated that checking again at the end of the season is warranted, but an imminent repair is not required. In the end, I'm owning that I will be sailing this season with a slight risk of an issue, yet I understand what the risk is, what would happen if the risk culminates, how to best deal with it, and avoid situations that might exacerbate it. Life constantly requires measuring risk against reward, and if nothing else, I am more informed than I was before. So we're going forward with this season, which is great news. I do want to share one other thing, and that is I've been playing with the idea of studying for the American Boat and Yacht Council Standards Certification, which would be a baseline qualification for a Marine Surveyor or Inspector. Perhaps that's in the cards for me once I quit, once I semi-retire. But let me know what you think, whether you agree or have insight in the ABYC Standards Certification. Please leave a comment. I do want to thank all my subscribers for your support. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.